better have a bigger coat than that.
I know. I don't actually.
You don't? Don't you go to East a lot?
I left it back east.
I had to dig in, man. I had to dig in. My brother got me a ski mask, and gloves for Christmas. I was like, yo, man, I live in Southern California. He's like, you're in the Big Ten. How about that? Guy's a comedian. Well, all right, guys.
Speaking of the Big Ten, I was just looking for informational purposes. 9 of the schools average 10,000 plus at home. Nebraska averages 14,000.
It's a great thing.
These road games.
I said that when they put us in the leagues. I played at a lot of these places.
Yeah.
I played at Nebraska.
Well,
I said it's going to be harder to win, but I can tell you as a player, it's much, for players, much more exciting. Players want to go out and play in energy arenas. You know, like our last 4 Saturdays. I think Oregon might have been on a Sunday, but our last 4 weekends. You know, that's what players want. You know, and coaches. I'm not going to name names of some schools. Obviously, you know, we're not in their league anymore. You go play in those places, and there's 1,000 people, and it's cold, and you know you're paranoid because your guys can't get going. You know, there's just no energy in the building. So the energy won't be a problem in the building in those places. You better have toughness. You better have toughness. You better travel your defense because teams with home crowds like that you tend to play harder. And I think it's fool's gold to think you're going to go into those type of places and score 80 points.
So you've been to Nebraska.
Yes.
What is that?
We lost in overtime or double overtime.
They're second in attendance behind only Indiana. So what makes that place rock? And they haven't lost a home game since December 2023. What makes that such a rocking place?
Well, they got loyal home. You know, it's a college town. I mean, most of these places are college towns, and that's just how it is there. You know, they don't. I think we're at 9, but we keep adding soccer teams. We're up to 10 pro teams here. You know, plus, you know, the beach is free. You know, one of my friends is at the beach. One of my friends is skiing. That's why, I mean, you know, we live in the best place in the world here. So it's just the way it is. You know, those college towns, I mean, it's the only show in town. So they get great attendance.
How do you feel about the growth of the team's mental toughness heading into kind of?
I think that the guys have playing these tough games every weekend. If you don't have a will to win, you're going to lose, right? You know, we're 3-1 in those type of games in December. I thought that our fight and our will to win and caring about winning was where it needed to be, and I think that's what you try to build. When people say things like culture, you know, which I don't use that word a lot, but that's what people I think are referring to. So what you try to build as a coach is, you know, that around here we're trying to develop. Sure, we're trying to develop as many pros as we can. We have a lot of them, by the way, in the NBA right now. But what makes you an attractive prospect is that you come from a place that plays to win. You haven't just run up and down and displayed your skills. If you come from UCLA, and we're not the only one, that you've come from a place where it's all out to win. And that's what it's all about anyway. Last time I checked, there's a reason to keep the score. So I think we've really developed in that area quickly, you know, as a group of new guys together. But we tried to factor that into who we took, too. You know, I think it's really important. You know, when you're out there in the free agent market, and that's what it is. Other people call it the portal. I call it the free agent market. Because the portal implies that you're not getting paid. And it's not a bidding. You know, let's just call it what it is. So when you're out there in a free agent and you're trying to sign some free agents, you need to try to find some guys that are going to care about winning.
How do you identify those traits when you're looking at? I mean, a lot of these guys are coming from programs that lost a lot of games last year.
Watch film. Now, obviously, you have an advantage if you've played against the player and you've seen it up close, and you don't have to watch film because you've already watched it all, right, on Kobe and Tyler. I had obviously personal relationship with Sky, so you know, ahead of the game with those guys. personal connections to Eric Daly. So there's, I don't know, 4 of them. I'm missing, but I don't know who else I'm about. William Kyle's a guy we did. He's a unbelievable kid. And you're obviously a winner if you're the defensive player of the year in the league. You're not worried about getting the ball. And then obviously Don being a guy that really wanted to be at UCLA.
How do you think I want to ask about the scheduling components of the road games, because this is a one-off. Next week you've got a kind of a quote-unquote travel partner a little bit with Maryland, Rutgers, and then, later on it's Indiana.
The pairs. Yeah, that's
and
what
Illinois and Purdue and Northwestern. Did you think they handled that well as far as?
Yeah, look, I don't. The Big Ten, obviously now everything's computerized, right? So I don't know 20 years ago without AI and the power of the software available now that you could even done this schedule. I don't know if a human could have done this alone. That's how hard it had. I'm sure there had to be to put the Big Ten master schedule together for everybody. And every year you can say, well, advantage, disadvantage. To me, it doesn't matter anyway. I always say this to you guys. I mean, to me, it doesn't matter anyway. It's not 20 years ago where we're hanging a regular season banner. Although be an unbelievable accomplishment, I'm of the school of thought that nobody cares anyway. You better win in a tournament.
Earlier, Sky was mentioning about how he's pretty much locked in to do whatever's needed for this team.
Yeah, that's who he
his
is.
Rebounding obviously was huge against Gonzaga.
Huge.
How much more is that rebounding going to be imperative, especially given Will's status right now?
Yeah, look, defensive rebounding is the key to your fast break. It's also the key to your effective field goal percentage defense, because teams shoot 13 to 15 percentage points higher on their second shot. You also tend to foul 20% more if a team gets a second shot. So defensive rebounding is huge, and that's really where Sky, because he's getting back. He's not offensive rebounding, right, for the most part, unless it's a long one. So it's extremely big for us, and it's an area I think we have to continue to improve. I don't think it's not the best thing we do right now. Sebastian needs to get a lot better at it for a guy his size. I think Eric can improve. I mean, look, blockout ratio is something. Obviously, the analytic guys love when people use terms like that. But I think Eric, Sebastian could really vastly improve in their blockouts as well. But when you have a guard that defensive rebounds, it is so huge for your fast break, because it eliminates the outlet pass. So if you go back to 2011, when the Mavericks, I believe, won the title, Jason Kidd, great defensive rebounder. And I mean, he get it, turn, one dribble, layup, or throw ahead, start. It was just huge. And I'll tell you, this was way too far back for you. That's a good thing, being young. 2000. At Cincinnati, Kenyon Martin, we had a freshman point guard named Kenny Satterfield, 6'3", long arms, great defensive rebounder. And Kenyon went as a junior. The MVP of our team was a guy named Pete Michael, and we signed Kenny from Rice in Harlem. He came in, and his passing and his leading of the break off his defensive rebounding and his overall passing, Kenyon Martin went from not winning MVP of our team as a junior to winning 7 National Player of the Year awards. Now, a lot of that was his development, but Kenny Satterfield's defensive rebounding and throwing it ahead just changed our team. So you get a guard that can really defensive rebound and lead the break. It's a huge thing. I mean, just go to the Showtime Lakers, Magic at 6'9", throwing, getting a defensive rebound, turning and throwing a 70-foot bounce pass. It's a big, big thing. It's huge for your fast break, which I think is important, because you get into conference play, it becomes harder to score. Everybody knows your plays, theirs. Games can become a slog. I think it's just much more important to get out on the break in conference play.
How have you thought Burkay's fit in at Nebraska?
Great. I'm happy for him.
Yeah.
I think it's the fit has been good for him. I know Fred's a great coach. Burke's, you know, a great guy. I'm sure he had to buy some winter clothes. You know, I don't know if it gets too cold in Turkey or in LA. So, but I think it's been good for him.
Has his game evolved a little bit?
But yeah, he looks to me he's gotten stronger for sure. Yeah, he's definitely gotten stronger. But I think he fits in what they do. You know, we're probably more of a pressure defense team, a denial defense team, where their defensive schemes are shell. They're a tremendous shell team. They're having a great year defensively. And it's more based off of team defense, which I think makes it easier for him with who he is as an athlete.
Do you have a timeline for Will's return?
I'd say he's probably out Saturday, hope from Michigan.
And then with Eric,
Yes.
when is he getting the mask off, or do you want it off at this
He
point?
may not take it off the rest of the year. He was 4 for 5 from 3, you know. I'd say it's on for the foreseeable future, you know. Look, kids, I had to threaten it down. He kept trying to take it off. And, you got to try to be the adult for the kid, you know. So with Eric, it's day to day. But with the mask, his foreseeable future, in all seriousness, just for protective reasons. Eric's pretty mature, and I'm being funny, but it didn't seem to bother him.
Right.
So.
The three-pointers are going in at a good clip now.
You got our December percentage. You ready to jinx us?
Do you know what it is?
Oh, yeah.
What is it?
I mean, want me to jinx myself? 42 in the month of December,
Okay.
which I told you in November was going to happen.
Yeah.
I said, most teams shoot around 35. Okay. Better shooting teams shoot around 37 or 8. We're up to 37 or 8.
Lazar said the key is passing.
No question, it's always been passing. If you look at the best offensive teams in the NBA, their ball movement is tremendous. So you got to get to that point, but you still have to shoot it in. So you have to have guys who can shoot the ball. The advantage we have is, like, in our starting lineup, everybody can shoot. So I used to say this, there was times where, like, I made an NCAA tournament as a coach with certain teams that you're really playing 2 or 3 on 5 offensively. It's hard to do. When you're playing 5 on 5 offensively, you're harder to defend, much harder to defend, because, not to give you a geometry lesson, but you got to guard the whole court. When you can pass, so, if somebody's open on that side and you're not guarding that side, and you can find him and he can shoot. But, it's a lot easier to play defense against teams that have somebody you don't have to guard. I've coached some teams, it's tough. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, bud.
Lazar continues to be able to come off screens to take inbound passes for
Yeah.
shots. Have other coaches just not scouted properly, or how is he continuing to do that? Well,
he's Lazar's effective at freeing himself, off of screens. I think, look, what happens is, as coaches, we all draw, like, everybody watches film and look at this play, For instance, Partisan. Partisan's a EuroLeague team that Lazar played for. World famous coach. The best fans, it's crazy. Look up Partisan. Promise me you're going to do it.
Yeah, I will.
Nothing like a home game for Partisan. Okay? And that guy's a legend. And people watch, look at this play Partisan ran. Well, yeah, because the guy they're running it for knows how to set his man up with deception and timing to get open. And what happens is everybody puts in all this stuff. Well, UConn's won the last 2 times. Let's put in with UConn. Okay, well, you don't have Cam Spencer. Okay, or Jordan Hawkins, who plays in the NBA. Like, those, so you got to run stuff, but Lazar knows how to set his man up with deception and timing. And, so that's a big factor. A lot of people run the same stuff. The players tend to be the ones that make it work. A lot of people run the same stuff. And if you listen to all the negative stuff, the NBA, everybody runs the same stuff, it's boring. Well, first of all, they don't. Okay, and the ones that make it work are the ones with the best players. You know, it's just the way it is, guys. I mean, you know, Lesnar's pretty adept at getting himself free on timing and how to set that up, and his footwork's great. You know, as a catch and shoot guy, you know, he works really hard on it. So I you know, and honestly, I got to try to get him more of those catch and shoots that he's getting on out of bounds plays in our offense when he's in there, because of the way he's shooting the ball so well. All right, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
You got it.